That's bad, but I feel that. So my alpha and gamma motor neural loops are really working well. She went ahead and chewed on her shins, and I feel pretty good. But, so I'm not really sure if that's actually what we need to do. So there was an article that was published. This is a meta-analysis, meaning that they looked at a bunch of studies and then they evaluated these studies, and it's related to performance. And it does pre-exercise static stretching inhibit maximum muscular performance, a meta-analysis review. And this was in the Scandinavian Journal of Medicine and Science and Sports. And this was like 2012. And what they showed is static stretching prior to performance, greater than 45 seconds, decreases performance. I know. Terrible, right? How many people go out and stretch and hold these stretches? Now, if you want to take a yoga class or you have a dedicated stretch class in your studio, that's awesome. You don't then go from there to then go perform and try to lift off the ground and do these complex motions. You fatigued the system, and there's a lot of metabolic processes that go on. So try to separate those two things as much as you can, okay? So separate the static stretching, excessive stretching, which is healthy, with performance. So yes, which leads me, any questions about that?
So I have two kids, and one always says, I feel super tight. Like, I need to stretch before competition, or else I'm not gonna be able to get my leg up here. But we've heard constantly, overstretching will decrease your strength when you hit the floor. So what do you recommend as far as right before a competition for them to do?
I'm going to address that in just a second, which is actually really, really good. So it's sort of dovetailing right nicely into that. So I'll get to that in a second.
What is your feeling on overstretching? Because I know within like the Instagram world, doing the super deep extra overstretch. My daughter, anytime that she tried to do that, like even just a little bit, it would cause issues. So we know that she can't do that. But what is your thought process on the dance floor of like pushing that oversplits?
Well, it's, if you're going to get paid $10 million to do an oversplit, I'm going to say do an oversplit. But if you're trying to win the gold ribbon, in Resume Speed, Iowa, I don't know if that's actually a good strategy, okay? Because I think a lot of younger people who get into dance actually have different collagen mix, right, in their joints, which makes them more flexible. Not only do I not have very much rhythm, and I'm not very flexible, but I can play other sports, okay? So you have type 1 collagen, type 2, and elastin. And the more you stretch, we're stretching these collagen fibers, but it wants to increase its tensile strength, okay? And I think a lot of people in social media are getting likes and clicks and having these extreme ranges of motion isn't healthy because we're actually challenging the joint capsule, challenging the ligaments, challenging the tendons, and they're 11. It doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't make sense. Yes, they're already flexible. Back to your question back here. If your child says, oh, I don't know, I need to stretch before I get my leg up, I would just ask this question, can you show me how far your leg can go up? And if it goes up, pretty much where it was, no, they don't need to stretch. So the sensation, the language is different. So it's how we warm up. So how we warm up is very different. So we're gonna do this. You ready to get after it? Okay. So, exercise bands. How many people have these? How many people use these? All right. Okay. So, my recommendation for this athlete, she's coming to see me and she's saying, I want to warm up, but I don't want to excessively stretch. Okay? So I'd have her step on the band, shoulder width apart. Bring the band up to here. Now I want you to squat. And up. And I want her to do that for about 30 to 45 seconds. Okay? And this is a really great warm-up. So I'm not challenging her ligaments. I'm not challenging the joint surface. I'm getting blood delivery to the system, which actually may make your child go, leg goes up. Now, in the dance world, in season, we have to concern ourselves with tendon strength. Okay? Tendon strength is key. Because if you can't get off the ground and move, your chances of tendinosis goes down. How many times have we had an ankle, knee, hip, and it's a tendon issue? Here's the key. Isometric exercises, loaded, increases tendon strength. That's pretty cool, right? So in season, I'm not gonna tell her to go to Gold's Gym, rack up 1,200 pounds, and do deep leg press. Maybe not for her, but I'm gonna prescribe definitely isometric exercises, loaded strategies. So one way is to have her go shoulder width apart, a little bit wider, there you go, hands up here, and she's gonna go into a squat, and now hold it, and we count to 45. And I'll check in with her in about 15 seconds to see how she's feeling. Now, isometric, iso meaning one, metric is length. She's one length here. This preferentially puts the tension on the tendons, and it increases collagen production. Yes, if I'm in a squat position, or I'm repping my squats, I'm getting my muscles. How you doing?
Warm. Good.
Warm. Okay, now you can come on up now. Okay, so this is what I want to do. I want to increase her tendon strength. Now, let's get into some language. When I can increase her tendon strength, it's like loading a spring. It's going to get tighter. When the tighter the spring, the higher you can go, the faster you can go. So your performance goes up. However, when we're overstretching, we're trying to stretch that tendon out, so performance is going down, but it's healthier for the joint. So dancers have this really interesting place they sit in the athletic world, is how much tension do we need? And since you're going from ballet to hip hop to contemporary to all these different classes, that requires a tremendous amount of muscle activity. So it's very challenging for myself. So when, the parents out here, when your child is dancing, take the video, not so much to review and to go, that was fantastic. Slow it down, frame by frame, and look and see how the ankle's behaving. Look and see where the knee is pointing. This is what film review is in sports. I don't know why we're not doing it in dance. And if there's anything, you guys are flipping upside down, twirling, and making it look easy. That's really, really hard. Number 2, second exercise. And I would give her 3 sets of 45 seconds of that static. Now, what I want to do is I want to have her work on the posterior chain. Most people need to increase hamstring and glute strength, because since it's in opposition to my quads, it's going to help inhibit and balance out my quadriceps. Reciprocal inhibition. Does that make sense? For my wrist to go forward like this, I have to inhibit the opposite side of my forearm. If not, it wouldn't move. So reciprocal inhibition. So, hold this. What you're going to do is you're going to step on this, for attention, loop it around, step back, and then I'm going to squat down, and I'm going to push my leg back from my heel, and I'm going to feel it in my rear end and my hamstrings. It's here. It's here. I could have her go down here, lean back, I'm loading this, so I'm doing my